So, here we are. Rayman 3 is maybe the biggest reason why I decided to take a look back at the previous games in the series. This character has gone through so many artistic changes and tonal shifts throughout the years. From the bright and colorful visuals yet looming sinisterness in the background of Rayman 1 to the gloomy hopelessness and seriousness of Rayman 2, and if you count Rayman M, back to a more playful tone with more gritty, half-assed-ish visuals. This is why I decided to go back and look at it all from the beginning. Well, that and the fact that I'm a sucker for doing things in a chronological order. I remember this game being very special to me when I was growing up, even more so than Rayman 2 or the Nintendo counterparts like Mario and Zelda. So it's quite a mystery to me then why I haven't played this game in over 7 years. I'll be playing the HD version on the PlayStation 3 today. For some reason, this is the only re-release of Rayman 3, and knowing how much Ubisoft likes to milk this franchise, well, I'm playing it on PS3 mostly because I played the original on PS2, so I thought it was kind of fitting to continue the trend with the Sony system, and 720p just simply looks better than 480p. The original on the PS2, Xbox, or GameCube didn't look bad by any means. In fact, it's one of the prettiest games of its generation. But the HD version sports higher resolution textures, a remade heads-up display, a better frame rate, and a couple of minor graphical changes like shadows for gems and such. All of this makes the game look even more stunning than before, and that's saying a lot. The game was already very good looking, with wonderfully designed worlds chock full of detail, and the first part of the game does wonders in showcasing this. When you first start a new game, you're greeted with a pre-rendered cutscene laying out what's going on in the Crossroad of Dreams. It's the middle of the night, and some teensies are hard at work shepherding some weird animal over a bridge, while a black lump flies around and scares the red lumps to create more of his ilk, hoodlums, as it were. I always loved how they show the black lump stealing the fur of this beast to create their costume. Where it got the blunderbuss from though, I have no idea. The newly formed potato sack then proceeds to chase Murphy through the forest. Looks like karma is finally catching up to him. This'll teach you not to stop me every 5 steps while I'm playing Rayman 2. He pretty quickly happens upon Rayman and Glowbox, who are both fast asleep. Glowbox comes too, but not our titular hero. So what else can you do but tear off his arms and run? Already in the first cutscene, this game just exudes personality and atmosphere. I especially love the audio cues when the hoodlum plods closer to our heroes. That shit gets me every time. Murphy grabs a hold of Rayman's hair and flies off, and we're then thrust into the first bit of gameplay. An on-rails collectathon? So many people were pretty harsh on this section of the game. Yeah, it doesn't really fit with the rest of the gameplay, but come on, it lasts like 2 minutes. Afterwards, you're dropped into an actual level. The whole first section of the game goes under the name the Fairy Council. Every world in the game is split up into parts with checkpoints in between so that you don't have to fully complete each world in one sitting. There are only 9 worlds, but each of them can take up to an hour or more to complete. So while it doesn't sound like much, there's more to the game than meets the eye. The second part of the Fairy Council teaches you the basic controls like jumping and gliding. They also introduce a kick move which you can use when you're close to an enemy. This is all told to you via an in-game manual, read aloud by Murphy himself. He keeps making fun of the corny and obvious stuff written in the pamphlet to the point where they threaten to fire him. One can only hope. If all the fourth wall breaking got to you, worry not. That comes to an immediate stop once Murphy is out of the picture 10 minutes later.
See you in Rayman 4!
Oh god, I hope not. But first we rescue Glowbox from a dastardly barrel and reclaim our hands.
No time to lose. We must catch Andre before he reaches the heart of the world!
Oh hey, yeah, they included subtitles in the HD remaster too. But these don't really work most of the time.
Quick! The force grows stronger in Andre. If you don't hurry, he's gonna start telling everyone he's your father!
At best they only show up during pre-rendered or in-game cutscenes, but there are supposed to be subtitles for all the dialogue in the game. It's just that they don't really pop up unless you're in an in-game cutscene of some kind. It's really weird how that works.
I'm starting to feel more intelligent.
Actually, the further you get into the game, the more it feels like a rushed port. While it's possible to adjust, the audio mixing can be horrible. Some dialogue has weird cues too, where the actors are talking over each other, or the animations don't sync up to the voiceover.
Hey, Big Nose! If you want to cross the desert, you need to use the tunnels.
But it won't be easy. The tunnels are swarming with Canaran, and those beasts are invincible.
Yeah, well, you got a better idea?
You bet your $1 I do.
Okay, listen closely, Big Nose. Do not let the Canaran get near you. You understand? Never! If they get their claws on you, you're dead. Well, it was a nice knowing ya!
I've heard that the French version doesn't have this problem and that it's the English localizers that messed up. While this was a problem in the original release as well, it feels like it's even worse here for some reason. The frame rate too has these weird dips, and sometimes the music sounds like it's skipping. If you've had micro stutter on your PC while playing music, well, it sounds kinda like that. Textures can be weird too. Some enemies are simply retextured to look different, and with some of these, the textures keeps flipping between what they were supposed to be and the normal enemies. And then, maybe the most disappointing part is a reference to Rayman 2. See, there are these secret rooms scattered throughout the game, many of which contains an Easter egg or two, and one of them has this cool diorama of all the robots from Rayman 2 organized like Jesus and his disciples from the famous Da Vinci painting The Last Supper. However, the textures are all fucked up and it looks almost unrecognizable. Oh well, too bad. Better luck next time. Anyways, once we have our guns back, we're assaulted by Andre and his gang. As we try to catch up, we learn about how the combat works in the form of punching stuff to proceed. It's kind of boring and unnecessary, but I guess it does its job.
Go for it, Rayman! And what? Oh, hold on. Someone's talking into my earpiece. It's the project manager. On behalf of the whole crew, he apologizes for this, and I quote, rather unamusing training.
We then encounter Andre and pummels him. Well, that was easy. Turns out we can't actually do anything about the lumps themselves yet though, so whenever you defeat a hoodlum, they just kinda get the hell out of there. Andre apparently knows this, so he uses the chance to spout some exposition. We learn that he seeks to infiltrate the Fairy Council and gain access to the heart of the world to multiply endlessly. Glowbox puts an immediate halt to that plan, however, by unintentionally swallowing the black lump, trapping it in his stomach. Just in time too, because right around the next corner lies the heart of the world. And, ooh, oh, what is this funky music? One thing Rayman 3 really has going for it is the sound design. Hitting enemies always feels really good, and the music itself is just downright amazing. While the music in Rayman 2 was grand, cinematic, and epic, the music here is more laid back, groovy, and atmospheric, I feel. Of course, there are still a lot of grandiose sounding tunes in Hoodlum Havoc as well, but the ones I remember are for the most part the slow and calm ones. To get rid of Andre, Rayman and Glowbox needs to travel to Clearleaf Forest to seek the aid of a doctor who resides there. They do this by way of surfboard through a psychedelic kaleidoscope. There's a lot of small mini-games like this littered throughout the adventure. This one is the only one that feels like it belongs, really. The rest, like the snowboarding and shoe racing, all feels kinda out of left field to me. Oh, hey! A bonus level! Yeah, right! You kinda unlock these minigames by earning enough points throughout the stages. The minigames themselves aren't really worth talking about. They're simply just a means to waste a couple minutes, and they're not really that good even. No, the best part about unlocking these are the short clips that comes with them. All you need to do is pause the game, go to extra, and they're not. For some reason, they decided to completely cut these out and replace them with concept art for their then 6-month-ish old game, Rayman Origins. And that's not the only thing missing either. Like lightning from a clear sky, it hit me that the intro cinematic was also missing. There used to be this cool VGMV with the track Matter from Groove Armada. I could just sit and watch that thing on repeat for hours as a kid. I guess they didn't bother to update the license for the HD remaster or something. I can't really show you more than a 3-second clip without jeopardizing the video either. Well, that's my quota for today, I guess. Let's hope there's nothing else in the game that would have it immediately taken down. Oh, son of a bitch! Earning points is a first for the Rayman games, and it's done by doing stuff, essentially. You get points from defeating enemies, to opening doors, to destroying piggy banks, and so on. Your main means of increasing your score, however, will be through collecting gems. These are littered everywhere and come in 3 different kinds. Yellow gems gives you 10 points, red gems gives you 20 points, and green gems gives you a whopping 1500 points. There's a combo system implemented here too, where as soon as you collect any kind of points, a combo bar pops down from under your score tally, and every point from there on is worth double. The amount of time the combo bar is in effect depends on what kind of points you are collecting. Points from enemies makes the combo bar stay longer, while with gems, it's barely there for a couple of seconds. The bar is supposed to retreat slowly to show how much time is left, but I guess that it doesn't is yet another oversight of the porting team. In addition to all this, whenever you're donning a combat fatigue, all points are multiplied by 2, meaning that points are worth 4 times as much when in combo mode. Oh yeah! Combat fatigues!
Combat fatigues! That's exactly what we need!
These are essentially power-ups for Rayman, but they're not merely damage upgrades, they also act as keys to progress through the levels. Most often you'll find these laser detergents being held by enemies who drop them when they're defeated, and using them allows you to progress further through the level. Say there's a sturdy door blocking your path. To get through, you'll need some more firepower. Well, my friend, it's time to find the heavy metal fist can and use it to punch your way through. Enemies too far away to hit? That's the 0 issue with the shock rocket power-up. Ledge too high? Throttlecopter. Platform too tall? Vortex fist. My favorite though is the lockjaw power. It just looks cool and it allows you to seamlessly swing between these flying metal handlebars that replaces the purple one from previous games. There is a catch to these powers though, they all have a time limit to them. The lockjaw is the one that lasts the longest, but the throttlecopter lasts like a couple seconds. From Clearly Forest and onwards, it's full throttle. There's a bunch of different enemies introduced and they're all unique in their own way, which makes combat pretty exciting. I love how no matter which enemy you're facing, they're all just one tiny little hoodlum inside a big costume, and you always see their quirky little eyes. The enemies range from normal grunts to more powerful grunts to flying enemies and even magicians. These guys protect other hoodlums, so you'll need to take them out first. Honestly, the combat here is miles better than in Rayman 2. For once, there's actually some strategy. Throwing a weak punch directly at an enemy sees it being reflected immediately. What you need to do is either charge up a more powerful attack or curve your punches so that they won't have a chance to evade. The combat fatigues all have different uses in battle too. It's nice seeing how much the developers got out of something as simple as a small power-up and a slight wardrobe change. Combat with multiple enemies is a blast too, though I never really found myself in much danger. The game can be pretty easy, especially if you free all the teensies along the way and have your health upgraded. Yeah, can't have a Rayman game without someone getting stuck in a cage. Most teensy cages act as tools for progression, where when you free one they either open up a passage or summon a power-up, while the more hidden ones spawn gems. I just love how getting captured seemed more like a tiny inconvenience to them. Most didn't even thank you for rescuing them and just instantly goes back to their everyday lives.
I have to go walk my flowers and water my dog.
Almost like it's part of the job description or something. Speaking of job descriptions, I'm pretty sure mine did not entail taking care of a drunk-ass toad. Yeah, they warn you that Andre will make Glowbox drink plum juice or whatever. Actually, I think that's just a poor excuse because I'm pretty sure Glowbox seems to love the stuff, and also he's, allergic to it.
This place rules! Look at that, Rayman! Plums! I love plum juice!
I like plum juice too, as long as it's fermented.
Yeah, right, allergic.
I don't feel too good. Hey, Rayman, I didn't know you had a twin.
A lot of the humor comes from the constant banter between Andre and Glowbox whenever they're nearby. Personally, I really like it. I know some people find it very hit and miss, but I feel it adds to the feel of the game rather than subtract from it.
Silly Glowbox, silly Glowbox. Who is this bonehead?
Actually, everywhere you go, everyone has something to say. Even the turtles,
Disgraceful!
the rats,
Bad boy. Very bad boy.
and the invincible Canaran people have something funny
Make it right, bad James.
or disturbing.
Let him run. Meet better with Saul.
To share. Needless to say, there's a lot of personality within this game. Though it may rely too heavily on references from time to time, I realize that this too can be very hit and miss. Personally, I like a lot of them, but it gets tiring even for me. Some of my favorites include the nod to Zelda,
Bug off, fairy! Zelda needs you.
a casting call for Spider-Man 2,
Hey, if I were you, I'd call it quits and head straight for the Spider-Man 2 auditions.
the USS Enterprise in one of the Teensy Highway stages, and of course, this hoodlum dressing up as Harry Potter and James Bond. The characters are all varying degrees of funny too. The doctors in particular makes for some entertaining cutscenes, I guess. They're basically all stereotypes with names that sound like something within medicine. Like Otto Psy, also known as Cal Ori, who's a German dude with a mean guitar arm. Or Romeo Patty, also known as Al Urgic, who sounds like a traditional stoner. And then there's Gonzo, also known as, and hold on to your hats now, Garetta Sciatic, Arthritis, and Anna Lies. Of course, there are more characters than that, but this is where we start to thread into more of a darker territory. The rabbit hole that is the characters of Rayman 3 is a hole that should take a fair amount of time and sanity to get to the bottom of. I'm not going to go into the same incredible details the developers went to, but there's one character I really want to highlight: Begoniacs. I think this press release sums her up pretty well. Begoniacs is a wily witch bent on brewing the ultimate beauty potion. Problem is, every potion she makes only makes her more hideous and insane with each failure. Those wandering into Begoniacs' domain best beware this crazy conjurer's wicked wiles. We first meet Begoniacs as we fall out of a damaged teensy highway on our way to the second doctor, and promptly land in her bathroom while she's in there doing her business. When we finally catch up to her, she initiates a boss fight where she tries to hit us with her love potion, which turns Rayman into a toad. It gets weirder, as when you defeat her, she runs and hides and manages to sputter out this.
Now that you have me where you want me, I suppose you want to take advantage of me, won't you? Won't you?
Yeah, okay, well, she's not that bad. She's just a crazy old hag with a rape fantasy, right? Well, here's the in-game description of Begoniacs. She transforms all males who reject her into toads. This is something she loves doing, even if she sometimes admits she no longer knows what to do with all her tadpoles. This implies that she rapes toads and then somehow gives birth to tadpoles. I mean, what the actual fuck is going on in this game? The best part about this is that it kinda makes you feel sorry for Count Razov, a manic hunter you meet later on who, when defeated, gets carried away by the witch. My god. I'm glad I had no idea about this when I was a kid, because this would have probably given me nightmares for days. All I paid attention to was the weird jokes and banter between the characters. All this funny dialogue was part of what drove me to like this game to begin with. That and the fact that Rayman has never felt better to control. If you're coming straight out of something like Revolution, he might feel a bit heavier, and continuously jumping feels a bit weird since you're halting some of his momentum when you land, but these are all easy to get used to. Speaking of Revolution, there's something I never brought up in that review. With some copies of that game, they included a demo disc for Rayman 3 Hoodlum Havoc. I probably played that demo more than I played Rayman 2, if I'm gonna be honest. It included the second part, I think, of Clearly Forest, and man, I had a blast every single time I played through that. I scoured the entire stage for hidden secrets, tried to jump between cracks in the walls. I explored every nook and cranny until Rayman 3 finally came out and I bought it on launch. And hey, I still have it to this day. When I finally popped it into my brother's PS2 and played it for the first time, it was pure bliss. And when I finally got to go past that tiny demo area, man, even the boss I liked. It was so cool to take the reins after you defeat him, and predictably satisfying to use the contraption to squish a horde of hoodlums. Not all the bosses are that good though. I'd argue that the first one isn't too bad, but ones like the octopus thing just kinda kills it for me. It's cool that you see him in the distance before you fight it, but the fight itself is a one-off underwater level that isn't really in line with the rest of the game. The fight against Reflux was cool, even though it dragged on for a bit. The final boss is, well, too long, and it tries to mix it up with different mechanics that hasn't really been used until then. So, it's not great. Basically, don't play this game for the bosses, play it for the lead up to them. In the transition between each level, you're graded with a level of completion of whatever out of 5 stars. Well, the number that matters is actually the percentage above, but I guess they felt they needed a bit of extra visual flair. Anyways, after certain parts, you might notice that you've gotten a measly 28 or something out of 100%. Well, that's because, like I said previously, Rayman 3 is littered with secrets, from Easter eggs to actual rooms full of rewards. Most of them are pretty well hidden too, and if you're gunning for 100% level completion, these are instrumental in your progress towards it. One of the rooms hides a statue of Lee the Fairy, and there's even a very special room near the end of the game. I tried to access it, but couldn't for some reason. There's a lot of info out there on how to unlock the hidden door, so either I found yet another bug in the HD release, or I was missing around 1000 points to trigger it. Except for these secret rooms, there's also a lot more small details that might go unnoticed, like this small paper boat I found cruising along the river near the end of Clearly Forest. When we finally reach the dock, he plays Glowbox like a fiddle, and causes Andre to move to a fistula.
By going through a kidney near a spare rib, you will need to consult a stomach specialist.
Yeah, not much help there, so we're forced to seek the help of another doctor who, yet again, manages to mess things up. These cutscenes were always amongst my favorite parts of the game, and it's nice to see that they kinda hold up. The last scene sees all 3 doctors come together and play a sweet ballad which finally purges the black lump from Glowbox. The plot twist here is that Glowbox develops some kind of Stockholm syndrome for the guy and joins us as we track him down. There's nothing much more happening after this point in terms of Glowbox. Well, I guess he's fooled into falling in love with some announcer lady, but instead ends up falling into a trap set by the hoodlums. But wait, wasn't Glowbox married at one point? They had kids, for Christ's sake. Oh man, first Pro Jared and now this. It's all a giant atrocity. What happened to all my heroes? These next few levels sees you travel down to the Hoodlum HQ, destroy their big bad machine, and get conveniently blown away to the Tower of Leptis, where you face the final boss. Bada bing bada boom. Maybe it's a bit linear, but honestly I much prefer that to the backtracking nightmare that was Revolution. After the final boss is defeated, Rayman and Glowbox ends up right back where they started and promptly go to sleep. We get a short flashback showing the creation of the first Black Llama, and oh my god, it was Rayman all along! A stupid kid me thought this was Rayman subconsciously acting on Glowbox's wish to see Andre one last time and starting the whole thing all over again. But it's pretty clear when you actually look at it that it's supposed to be a flashback. So, 7 years. Has my opinion on Rayman 3 changed? Well, not really. I recognize that it's not what a lot of people may have wanted out of the follow-up to the perceived best platformer of the previous generation, but to me, Rayman 3 is the best Rayman game out of them all. Which is why it's kinda annoying how it seems no one is talking about it. Neither now nor then. A quick YouTube search shows that there really aren't many videos about this game. I usually look through other reviews whenever I'm doing this to look for things I might have missed or counterpoints to my own experiences. You know, to broaden my understanding a bit. It's a tricky path to follow, especially since you can subconsciously plagiarize someone without meaning to, but that probably won't be a problem here since, well, there's little to no creators out there talking about Rayman anymore. This game feels like a climax to the entire Rayman series up to this point. It takes everything good about the previous games and integrates it into itself for better or for worse. What's disappointing about Rayman 3 though is that it seemingly killed the interest in the 3D Rayman platformers. It sold 1 million copies by the end of its launch month, which is by no means bad, but apparently it must have been beneath Ubisoft's forecasts, because the Rayman 4 we were promised by Murphy never came. Even if the game was dragged down by some less than good portions here and there, a kinda rushed production it seems, and the fact that the power-ups was what seemingly unleashed a wealth of horrible Rayman original characters do not steal onto the internet, I just can't bring myself not to like this game. In fact, it's been so long since I've played Hoodlum Havoc previously, I completely forgot that this game is probably among my favorite games of all time.